have a completely different video idea nearly ready to go and then just pivot completely because you still haven't decided what to draw yet? Yeah. Maybe by the time I'm ready to start working on the video after this one, I'll have decided what I want to draw for it. Just know there is a Cardcaptor Sakura video coming out eventually. At first, I thought I'd do a Eurocamp video since I want to do more background practice. But then an idea struck me. And honestly, this is the perfect time to talk about it because the second movie is going to release soon. So today's video is all about The Legend of Hei. That said, this video will contain spoilers. So if you don't mind that, carry on. If not, pause the video and go watch the movie at least. I swear, it's worth it. If you like Studio Ghibli movies, you're going to love the Legend of Hei series. The series first began as a Chinese webcomic and would eventually be made into an animated web series, animated by a small team of animators and voice actors. Many of the characters in the web series share the same voice because of that. However, this doesn't diminish the quality of the performance everyone delivers. The movie, however, is a prequel to the web series, so we'll start there. Shohei is an elfin, something like a nature spirit. When we first meet him, he takes the form of a small black cat that you've maybe seen on the internet somewhere before. He lives a happy, peaceful life in a lush forest that would feel right at home in My Neighbor Totoro or Princess Mononoke. But, much like the latter, disaster strikes when Shohei's forest is the latest victim of deforestation, to make room for the ever-expanding human civilization. We come to find this is a flashback/nightmare that Shohei's just woken up from, now amid a pile of garbage bags in an alleyway. He tries to survive while avoiding humans as much as possible, stealing food and finding shelter wherever he can. We're treated to a gorgeous montage of sorts as he wanders through towns and villages. The way the scenery is drawn is just so good. I wasn't kidding when I said it felt very Ghibli to me when I watched it the first time. Shohei, or simply Hei in the English dub, lives this way until he gets hassled by 3 humans with oddly vacant stares. Keep this in mind, that'll be important later. Another elfin appears to drive the humans away. Another cat-like elfin who can switch between a human form and a more beast-like form. He introduces himself as Feng Shi, and offers Shohei a new place to call home, away from humans. There, we're introduced to 3 more elfin who are friends with Feng Shi, before it cuts back to the city where we see another elfin fleeing over the rooftops. After a very brief fight, we're introduced to Wuxian, a human with very strong spiritual power who seems to be hunting Feng Shi for some reason. After Shohei shares a lively dinner around the campfire with Feng Shi's group, he's given a place to call his own in these overgrown ruins. But the next morning, he wakes up to chaos. There's a battle happening, and it's all hands on deck. Wuxian has arrived. At this point, we still don't know why he's doing this, just that he works for an organization called the Guild and is here to capture Feng Shi. And like Shohei, we're initially led to believe that Wuxian might be the villain of this story. Shohei rushes in to help, but is easily knocked out, though Feng Shi and the others are able to escape. After this, they make a plan to rescue Shohei, but Feng Shi leaves it to the others to find him while he goes off to enact his own plan. But there's the slightest implication that Feng Shi has another motive when he says he's tired of waiting. Meanwhile, Wuxian is trying to craft a wooden raft to get off of the island after Feng Shi damaged the portal into the ruins in their escape. Which leads to some of my favorite bits in the movie where Shohei repeatedly tries to escape, but Wuxian always catches him effortlessly. Thus, we get this sort of road trip-esque sequence, and while Shohei still doesn't trust Wuxian, we begin to learn more about him. That he isn't the antagonist he's initially framed as. Though his expression never changes, he's a bit silly in the himbo kind of way. At one point, they stop at a restaurant because he wants to treat Shohei to a good meal, only to find all his cash is wet from the rainstorm they were caught in earlier, and his phone is also waterlogged and won't turn on, meaning he has no way to pay for the meal. So he just grabs Shohei and runs while they both still have food in their mouth. Through this, we learn that the guild Wuxian works for aims for peaceful coexistence between elfins and humans. The guild helps elfins integrate into human life, helping them find jobs and keeping their existence secret. They even help elfins who would rather not live near humans at all, finding them places to stay and protecting them. Wuxian is an enforcer, but he only targets those who are causing harm to others, those that would break this fragile peace the guild has managed to broker. Wuxian offers to show Shohei the guild, believing it would help him out. But he also makes it clear that Shohei doesn't have to stay there, but he should at least check it out. Meeting Wuxian begins to broaden Shohei's horizons. Where at the start of the film he hated humans, through traveling with Wuxian on their way to the nearest branch of the guild, he encounters more humans and comes to learn that they're not all bad. He even later admits that while he still doesn't like Wuxian, he no longer thinks he's a bad guy. This comes, however, after learning that Fengxi has been attacking other elfins and stealing their powers, something considered to be a great taboo among them. Shohei is conflicted. He doesn't think Fengxi is a bad guy either, but now he can't see Wuxian as his enemy, so he has no idea what side to take. It makes you wonder what route Shohei will follow as he continues to grow closer with Wuxian along their journey, no longer trying to escape at every turn. Then comes the train scene. At one point, Wuxian and Shohei need to board a train to reach their destination, and while they're in the station, the people standing on the platform suddenly turn on them. They all have vacant eyes, just like the three guys at the start of the film. It turns out there's an elfin who can control people, and they're trying to separate Wuxian and Shohei. While Wuxian fights them off, he asks Shohei to look after the passengers. This marks the biggest turning point for Shohei's character, where he winds up making the decision to save a little girl, and when she thanks him, Shohei feels good. He did a good thing. But the elfin who can control minds is working with Fengxi. I'm not sure that Shohei ever catches on to this, and in fact, I don't think I registered it on my first watch, but I never see anyone else bring this fact up. This elfin working with Fengxi means that Fengxi set everything up from the beginning, manipulated the scene so that Shohei would see him as a hero, someone trustworthy. He was after Shohei from the very beginning. We learned then that the reason Fengxi is doing this is because he was like Shohei once. Initially, he lived in a forest with the others, and slowly humans began to move in. At first, he didn't mind them. He thought they were entertaining. But as civilization began to grow and advance, Fengxi grew angry with the way they destroyed nature, forcing elfins out of their homes, and began to fight back. This is the reason why Wuxian is after him, because Fengxi is putting lives in danger. This only becomes more apparent when we learn why he was after Shohei in the first place. See, Shohei is special. He has a special spatial power known as domain, allowing him to project his inner realm onto the outside world, thereby controlling everything and everyone within it. Fengxi is after this power, aiming to steal it and use it to drive the humans away from the city this fight takes place in, because this is where it all began for him. This city used to be the forest he called home. But this comes at the potential cost of Shohei's life. Luozhu, one of Fengxi's companions and arguably the most compassionate of them, begs and pleads Fengxi to reconsider this, to let him talk to Shohei. But Fengxi's already made up his mind. There's no going back for him. So he proceeds, even knowing that Shohei will likely die without his inner realm. This is the first time we see Wuxian absolutely lose it, the first hint of emotion on his face and in his voice. I had chills the first time I watched it and heard the absolute rage in his voice as he yelled at Fengxi. And even knowing that being in someone's inner realm makes the fight that much harder, Wuxian dives in anyway, because he cared about Shohei, because he wanted Shohei to have a better life. Luozhu is upset too, because he also cared about Shohei, and while he believed in Fengxi's cause, this is too far. But remember how I said Shohei is special? He actually had two inner realms, a complete rarity in this world. But it's this fact that allows him to survive Feng Shi's stealing domain. We get the coolest scene of him breaking into the space Feng Shi had already closed off, and slowly, by working together with Wuxian, they begin to turn the tides of battle. There's also a very funny scene before this that breaks up the tension where Neja shows up to try and help, but he can't get in. Yes, that's right, Neja is in this movie. The Legend of Hei pulls from Chinese mythology and cultivation stories to craft its world. In this world, the gods and mythological beings are elfins, and through cultivation, humans are also capable of learning the abilities elfins have, though it will take them much longer to reach any level of elfin power. I thought this was such a good way to make a unique world, and maybe it's because I grew up with Avatar: The Last Airbender as it was airing on TV, but I just love this kind of power system so much. It's even better here because it's not just elements. There are other things that can be done, like using sound or bringing paintings to life. The fight ends with Feng Shi instead choosing to recreate a small patch of the forest from his own body, surrendering on his own terms. Much like San and Princess Mononoke, he can't forgive the humans for what they've done. But hopefully, the guild will succeed in bringing about that peaceful coexistence. Finally, Wuxian is able to bring Shohei to the guild. But rather than staying, Shohei tearfully asks if he can keep traveling with Wuxian, to which Wuxian warmly agrees. Over the course of their journey together, the two have become like father and son, which is what leads us into the web series. Shohei wants to be an enforcer like Wuxian, so he started on the test to become one, which involves stealing a particular item from Lao Jun, even though Lao Jun is apparently the one that set this test up. But in fighting with Diting, who is currently serving as Lao Jun's guard, Shohei is injured and unable to maintain any of his transformations. Once again a cat, after managing to shake off Diting, he hides in a cardboard box to wait out the rain. But as luck would have it, he's found by a little girl named Xiaobai, who brings him home. Though initially in a hurry to return to Wuxian, Shohei eventually warms up to Xiaobai and her friends, including another elfin named Agen, who lives with Xiaobai's grandpa. Xiaobai refers to Agen as her cousin, even though they're not related by blood. In fact, Shohei is initially suspicious of this, wondering if Agen did something to Xiaobai's actual cousin. But Agen explains that the family just took him in. Together, the three of them, plus Xiaobai's best friend Shanxing, go on a series of adventures, eventually culminating in an online VR game that was created using an elfin's inner realm. This game is Shohei's final test to become an enforcer. If he can make it to the end without dying, he will have passed. Unfortunately, the odds are quite stacked against him. It's also revealed that this game is one way the guild plans to slowly introduce the idea of elfins to humans, to test the waters, so to speak, in furthering their coexistence. In the final episode of the web series, Wuxian and Shohei are reunited, and Wuxian gently tells him that he doesn't have to be an enforcer, not yet, and asks Shohei what he wants to do now. To his surprise, Shohei answers that he wants to go to school with Xiaobai. Smiling, Wuxian says, that's what they'll do then. Like I said previously, the web series came first, but as it progresses with each episode, the animation gets better and better, laying the foundation for what would eventually become the movie. It's fast, it's fluid, fight scenes are incredibly animated. There's a certain rhythm to watching the fights, almost like a dance. There's not a single wasted frame or movement. And the story is very good and heartwarming too. The main core and conflict of the series is coexistence. We see how it can work in the way Xiaobai immediately accepts elfins, though I'm not sure if she knew Agen was one from the beginning or not, since she still seems to have a lot of questions about it. But we also see that it's not something that can be smoothed over so easily, with everyone. Especially on the elfin side, as there are many who dislike humans and the way they advance and encroach on the places they call home. There's even a character who appears in both the web series and the movie that says the cave he used to call home was turned into a tourist attraction, and he was no longer able to live there. When Xiaobai goes with Agen and Shohei to a nearby guild hall to collect compensation from Lao Jun, there's an elfin that reacts negatively to her presence, hurling a teacup at her, which Agen easily intercepts. We don't see the resolution play out in either form, But we see the process and the groundwork being laid for a future that will hopefully come to pass eventually. To me, it really feels like it's right at home with many of the themes we've come to associate with Ghibli. I genuinely cannot describe how much I love this series, and how excited I am that there's going to be another movie that looks just as incredible as the first. It still seems to be set before the web series, so we'll see more of Shohei's adventures before he meets Shobai. There hasn't been any more updates to the web series as far as I'm aware, but that's understandable when the team has been working on the movies. I do hope we'll get to see more of the web series characters though. Maybe even a third movie involving an adventure with Shobai and the gang. Honestly, I just really want more of these characters in this world. Whatever stories they want to craft, I'll eat it up. There's even a manhwa that's a prequel to Shohei's story entirely, showing a bit of Wuxian's backstory as well as focusing more on Lao Jun after his brief appearance in the web series. The manhwa also includes my favorite character in the series. Xuanli is very gender, I can't explain it, but as a dog type person, I can't help but feel a connection. But I definitely recommend checking everything out, even if it's only for the art and animation. It's all really good though, and I can't recommend it enough. The characters are entertaining, the world is fascinating and portrayed with such care and detail. I could genuinely gush about it all day. I've already bought merch. There were several prints released of 1 year solar terms, which are kind of like a calendar, and the most adorable backpack I will ever own, where you can customize Shohei's expression. I will absolutely collect more, don't think I won't. As always, we end this with a look at the final piece, but I'm sure you've noticed something glaringly different compared to my other videos. That's right, I'm learning Live 2D. It's not perfect, though. I wasn't able to make the head turn or get the ears to move, but for what I wanted, it's pretty good. It tracks decently and the eyes move, so I think it's good enough for now. I just thought it might be more visually interesting during the videos if I could move a little more while I talked. Design-wise, it was heavily inspired by Hei and Xuanli, which might have been obvious, mostly because I love the way Hei's ears are always drawn. But I think my overall vibe is more Xuanli than anything. That said, I am very much a dog, as others have described me, so don't mistake me for a cat. I'm like a Pomeranian, maybe. As for the piece itself, it was actually inspired by an official art from one of the solar terms, I believe, and I've been trying to study the way they do line art and coloring for it. I don't think I've quite nailed it, but I'm getting there. There's still some proportional issues, like I think Shohei's head is a little too big, and then there's whatever's going on with Agen's legs over there. But I love how the tree came out. It's definitely something I need to practice a little more. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope that maybe I've inspired you to go check it out. It seems so criminally underrated for how good the story and animation is. I really want more people to see it, especially with the new movie about to release. I'm so excited. I don't think I've said that enough. If it gets a stateside theatrical release, I am so there. If you'd like to support the channel, please feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing. If you'd like to support me, I also have an Etsy shop that I'll link down below. Once I get a little better at Live 2D, I do plan on offering some simple pre-made models to help out people who are just getting started, so they can at least have something to start with before they can afford to make the big commission. But for now, I'll see you next time. And hey, if anyone decides they want to dub the web series, I am 100% down to voice Shobai or Agen. Honestly, dream roles.